Now, if Minecraft was real, it's fairly safe to say that we would be in quite a bit of danger, considering how monsters spawn outside when it gets dark out, or even if it's too dark inside. Now, I'm going to treat this as if vanilla Minecraft were real, and if it was integrated into today's society. So we would still have our modern tech, except the rules of Minecraft would apply to that world. So while cities would be fairly safe at night thanks to all the lights, some residential neighborhoods and smaller towns would be overrun with monsters, including giant spiders and creepers, which wouldn't burn when the morning came. This would make the walk to school especially interesting. Not to mention that literally everywhere would have to keep the lights on 24/7 to prevent monsters from spawning inside their establishments, which would mean either a load of torches, lanterns, or a high hydro bill. So when you got to school as well, it would have to have kept the lights on all night, or you'd have to do some fighting before you got to math class, unless they had some form of security that would handle these monsters in the morning, which could be realistic, and I mean it would create more jobs. There is also the issue of totally different dimensions. Now, while we possibly wouldn't know about them, there is still the possibility of certain people opening portals and unleashing Armageddon, since the most likely scenario would be us stumbling into the Nether absolutely blind, and then the forces of the Nether taking over our world instead of the other way around. Sorry Fallen Kingdom fans, but Take Back the Night isn't as realistic as we hoped it would be. Now, the end is a different story. As we know, the strongholds are long abandoned structures that hold an unopened portal, but how would this happen in our world? Probably in a similar fashion, only the structures and the portals would be discovered by archaeologists, and Indiana Jones movies would be about the Eyes of Ender rather than crystal skulls. And if they knew how to open the portal would be determined based on what we knew about this ancient civilization, and if we even understood how to make ender eyes. If we did somehow manage to get that portal open, whether it's through research or sheer dumb luck, would we go through it? I mean, I don't know. And would we actually be able to survive the trip? Based on Earth's history, I think a whole other dimension to colonize would probably be a driving force behind why most would go through the portal. And well, we would end up stuck there until we killed a dragon, which is something else entirely. This isn't even like, I didn't even consider the warden in this case, because that would be a lot. Sure, finding an ancient city would take way too long in real life, so I'm just kind of omitting it, because I don't really think it would have much of an impact. Whether it would be possible to kill the Ender Dragon is impossible to know, since the stupidity but also the brilliance of humans is astounding. But assuming we knew how to, like every other Minecraft player basically knows how to defeat the Ender Dragon, we would probably be alright, but not without a few casualties, I'm sure, because, you know, it's a dragon in real life. However, advancing our civilization would actually be a breeze, since while yes, we don't have mods like Mechanism, we would still have caves full of ore to explore and mine, resulting in much more gold and diamonds than anyone ever thought possible. And redstone would make incredible advancements as well. Like, imagine Mumbo Jumbo, but being an IRL redstone technician, or Ilmango installing block swappers in your house or on the streets, so that when night came, they would light up. Or even equipping the entire world with netherite armor. Imagine the enchantments, how they would feel on our bodies, even though we would end up being superhumans. And yeah, you heard me right. If Minecraft was real, we would be superhumans. That's like not a joke. We would actually be like Mr. Incredible, basically, everyone. Since a 1 meter by 1 meter block of gold, which is the block of gold size in Minecraft, would weigh 19,300 kilograms, which is 42,549 pounds for the 3 countries in the world who use the metric system. Yeah, I know, you're one of 3. And that's just 1 block. Multiply that by the 36 stacks that Steve can carry, and Steve can easily hold 98,033,395.05 pounds, not including wearing any gold armor, which would only increase the weight he's carrying. But even with a full inventory of gold blocks, Steve can run at full speed, jump 1 meter into the air, and do everything that he can normally do, which is absolutely insane. Jumping 1 meter is incredible already, and then to do that while carrying 98 million pounds, oh my god. And that's not even like the max that he can carry. That's before factoring in shulker boxes, which can be found in the end. And while they would be expensive, we could in theory carry 36 shulker boxes full of golden blocks, resulting in the insane weight of 1,200,614,400 kilograms, or 2,648,901,666 pounds. That is absolutely astronomical. And you know what? That doesn't even mean much, because we can't really understand it, so let's put it into terms that we can relate to. Steve and Alex can both individually carry 108,537 school buses. That's 19,288 African bush elephants at their heaviest. That is, according to most moving companies, 16,543 houses at their heaviest, not including mansions or apartment buildings. That is insane. That is bonkers. That is absolutely f***ing bananas. That's also including Alex, whose character model has skinnier arms. There would be no need for gyms. And it wouldn't matter that my arms are the size of ramen noodle packets, because I would still be able to lift that, okay? The only question is, when are we able to lift that? Because, like, it depends. It's probably going to be after puberty and, you know, not straight out of the womb, because that seems even unrealistic for Minecraft. And when looking at this strength, it seems kind of dumb how falling 7 meters will kill my overpowered ass, but okay, whatever. So, with this newfound power, how long does it take for us to destroy the world? Probably very quickly, but that's not the question I want to ask. How strong would that actually make the mobs? Because, like, zombies appear to be just undead versions of Steve, right? They wear the same shirt, they wear the same pants, and the same shoes. So, a zombie would in theory be as strong as us, if not significantly weaker due to decay, because, you know, they're undead. But the same thing goes for drowned. They're just underwater zombies, as evidenced by their ability to literally be created by drowning zombies. And while Endermen can only carry 1 block at a time and from a specific set, they have double our health. Creepers would be like a walking bomb just like they are in game, and skeletons could one-shot any of us if we wandered too far away from the street lights. But all of this doesn't even compare to the Nether, with monsters who shoot fireballs that either catch us on fire or just explode, mobs that would attack us unless we're wearing gold, and skeletons that, if they touch you, would slowly drain your life away. That is absolutely terrifying. Not to mention skeletons riding on giant spiders, baby zombies riding on chickens, and how horrifying those little buggers would look in real life. It's horrifying to think about, especially the spiders. I hope that at this point we all know how I feel about spiders. If you don't hit subscribe, you need to do that, okay? Because I hate them. These things must be strong as hell for our overpowered one-punch-man fist to only do half a heart of damage every time. That would make me I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, okay? Like, there's always going to be monsters nearby in my life. Oh, and I'm not even gonna touch on the Wither or the Warden, because anyone who would summon the Wither deserves the pain that the Wither would cause them, okay? It would most likely wipe out our entire society. Oh, and the worst thing of all is the inability to take naps during the day. How am I supposed to function if I can't nap when I get home from work? God! So last part I talked about how strong we would all be thanks to Minecraft's inventory system. I talked about how the heaviest block in the game is Minecraft's gold block, since a 1 meter by 1 meter block of gold would weigh 19,300 kilograms, which is 42,549 pounds, and that was just 1 block. Multiply that by 36 stacks of 64 that Steve can carry, and Steve could easily hold 98,033,395.5 pounds, not including wearing any gold armor, which would only increase the weight. But then, even with the full inventory of gold blocks, Steve can still run at full speed, jump 1 meter into the air, and do everything that he could normally do, which is insane. And that's not even the max that he can carry, okay? That's before factoring in shulker boxes, which would result in us being able to carry 1,200,614,400 kilograms, or 2,648,901,666 48,901,666 pounds, or the equivalent of 16,543 fully furnished houses. And then multiple people in the comments brought up the idea that golden apples would in theory multiply that amount by 8, which I wanted to address. The idea that enchanted golden apples would equal 8 blocks of gold relies on the idea that they actually used to be craftable. Prior to Minecraft version 1.9, you could craft an enchanted golden apple by surrounding an apple with 8 gold blocks. This would also give you the at the time overpowered achievement. However, now they aren't craftable, which means that we can't really use them as a metric for how strong we would be, especially given that they're enchanted and magical apples. So the weight would seemingly be nullified by the fact that it's magical and enchanted and an apple. However, there is one thing that we can actually compare to our strength as of Minecraft 1.16, and that's the Netherrite blocks. Since each Netherite ingot requires 4 gold ingots as well as 4 Netherite scraps, we can essentially multiply this metric by 4. We have no way of knowing how heavy or dense Netherite scrap would be, nor do we have any reasonable equivalent in our world, but by just multiplying this by 4, we would be able to carry, using a full inventory of shulker boxes filled with Netherite blocks, a whopping 4,802,455,600 kilograms, or 10,585,606,664 pounds, which is equal to 66,172 fully furnished houses, or the weight of my ego, which is honestly something that I can't even fathom at this point. If every person in the world worked together, we would in theory be just 48 people shy of lifting the earth. Or at least I think that's how the math works out. It was either that or just 48 kilograms shy of lifting the earth, which would mean just one person away. Assuming that we had somewhere to stand as we were trying to lift the earth, and you know, all the assumptions that we would normally have to make moving the earth possible, we'd have to do that, but also, yeah, either 48 people or 48 kilograms shy of lifting the earth, which is nuts. It's also worth noting that we wouldn't have our knowledge of Minecraft in this version of Earth, since, well, Minecraft wouldn't be a game, it would be real life. And nobody plays real life simulator games to actually do things that you would do in normal life. So Minecraft would definitely not be a game, meaning that it would take us ages to even consider thinking about mob or resource farms, and it would take a load of ingenuity to figure out how they actually work or even come up with the concept for one. We also have to pick and choose the mechanics that would actually work properly and which ones we would have to eliminate for the sake of translating this into real life. For example, the mob spawning mechanics, where they cannot spawn within 25 meters of a player, would have to be considered. I mean, it would be beneficial to have this rule, however, would it really make sense? If we're running with monsters spawn in the darkness, we may be able to keep this rule, but it would require some adapting, like in our society adapting to that. For example, no corner of your house could be further than 25 meters from any other point in your house. Otherwise, you'd risk falling asleep and then waking up to a creeper in your living room. We could modify these rules though, possibly by saying that we could consecrate ground around a house to prevent monsters from spawning inside of it, but that's not a normal Minecraft mechanic, and therefore we should probably ignore that and shouldn't actually postulate it. We could possibly though all move to various mushroom biomes if we had those. However, the spawning mechanics for those are confusing, especially when trying to place this on our Earth instead of an infinitely generating world. We would have to have, you know, enough area for literally everyone on Earth, or I guess not like an infinitely generating world, one that has a border 3 million blocks in any given direction. Another biome that doesn't allow mobs to spawn naturally, however, like how the mushroom biome doesn't, which is why I suggested, has recently been added. The deep dark biomes that contain skulk blocks and shriekers actually prevent mobs from generating naturally within them, probably to make the warden an actual threat, because, you know, if there's other mobs running around, he's just gonna go for those. But building down in the skulk would be kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, why would we try to do that? Oh wait, in Minecraft, they already have. They've done that thanks to the ancient city structures that we can see typically generating under mountain biomes. Now, we still aren't entirely sure how this really happened. It's possible that these cities were here and then the skulk invaded, or vice versa. However, one thing that remains consistent is that there were people who were living amongst the skulk blocks. So, could we do the same? It would definitely be difficult. I mean, the warden is the strongest mob in the game, being able to take on multiple withers in both versions. But if we tried to live in the skulk, could we as humans? I mean, I think so. Because like the thing is that wardens are summoned by skulk shriekers. These are dotted around the various skulk sections in the deep dark biomes, but you are able to destroy them. You can harvest them with Silk Touch, but if you don't use that, they just get destroyed. And the key to actually being able to live in a skulk biome would be destroying all these skulk shriekers. And as long as we brought wool with us, it wouldn't really end up being that big of a problem, since placing wool doesn't activate any of the skulk sensors or shriekers, and we could easily block one of them off before destroying it so that it doesn't send any signals to other ones. We do that enough times and we wouldn't really have to worry about the warden at all. I mean, it would take a little time to figure that out, and most likely a fair few lives and warden summons, but it would be a solution to dealing with the monsters every night, since everyone would have to be asleep to end up preventing them from spawning, because that's just how sleeping works on servers. One person with insomnia and there's a creeper in your house, alright, just saying. There is one question that I also saw multiple times on the last part. It's the simple question of, if monsters would be such a big problem, why not just use guns to wipe them out? And while I do understand that, since I said that we would have our current technology, I was speaking more so about how the general population would be able to handle monsters, because let's be honest, okay, equipping every single person with a gun in order to worry about monsters isn't really going to end well. Ironically enough, we would become the monsters at that point, and yes, that was meant to be poetic. Most of the people asking this, I'm guessing, are from the United States, since while only containing 5% of the world's population, contains 46% of the world's civilian-owned guns, and I mean, I'm sure we all know how that's going for them. Whether you are for or against gun control, I think you can understand how arming everyone in the world with a gun so that they can take out monsters wouldn't be a good idea. Okay, one thing moves in the shadows and you're freaking out, thinking that it might be a creeper, but instead it was just your creepy neighbor. And while giving people swords wouldn't really be much better, at the very least, they're easier to defend against than a 102-mile-per-hour chunk of metal flying at your face. Okay, and swords require much more training than something that in this case would mostly just be point and shoot, especially for a monster, especially for a giant frickin' spider. And considering how guns aren't in Minecraft, we can't even really begin to understand how these mobs would handle gunfire. It may not affect them at all. I mean, I doubt it, but it is possible. They may be made in like a similar way to Kevlar or other bullet resistant or bulletproof materials, because we can't exactly be sure. So perhaps a sharp sword to the abdomen or a sharpened arrow to the chest would be the only way to actually handle these creatures. And while yes, we are extremely strong, it's worth remembering that a fall of 7 meters would kill us instantly, and so would a creeper explosion. Yeah, that's right, we would still have to deal with creeper explosions in this world. Imagine how fun that world would end up being. Yeah, imagine airports. They would have to somehow spawn-proof entirely, or have like cats just chilling literally everywhere. But I don't know, maybe I can like discuss how the world could handle monsters if you guys end up wanting a third part to this. This was mostly clearing up and addressing some of the newer additions to the game, but I do love this kind of thought process of translating Minecraft into real life, so I'm happy to do it again if you want.